I can make it there. I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
Hey guys, how we doing? Good evening. It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Richie. Wanted to apologize. I didn't realize that my audio went out for the final half of my show this morning, so I'm doing it over. Leaving it up there, but I'm doing it over. Week 6 NFL prick picks and a prediction show. A little funny story. My girl took the computer I've been using in the podcast room because my normal one is getting fixed currently. You know how sometimes we miss out on the communication. So I was on the phone. Zappy wanted to get on, and I accidentally cut off my mic. So I take the blame for that. But I'm back, and I want to go over my predictions for Week 6 of the remaining games I already didn't cover. Going to start it off in prime time. Got the Chicago Bears heading to the nation's capital to take on the Washington Commanders. This is the second meeting between the two 2024 top picks. Of course, I'm talking about Caleb Williams at 1, Jaden Daniels at 2. In one short year, Jaden Daniels, much more decorated accomplishments thus far. He took his Washington Commanders just one game away from last year's Super Bowl before they got trounced by the Philadelphia Eagles. As the Bears go, it's been a mixed bag for Caleb Williams, but things are looking up as I think Ben Johnson in this particular season is really getting more out of Caleb. It's a uphill battle because I said it going back to the draft of 2 years ago. I say it again. I just cannot wrap my head around how anyone would draft Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. But one of the Commanders' losses was actually without the services of Jaden Daniels. He made his return last week, got the W out in SoFi against the Rams, a game where his defense really supported him, making life difficult for Justin Herbert, overcoming a 10-point deficit early. I like the Commanders in this game for a litany of reasons, but one of them is that I just think the best player on the field is going to be Jaden Daniels. And I think that Commander fans have to be encouraged with the performance last week of Krosky Merritt. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt had his best game of his young NFL career. I do like what I'm seeing from Rome Odunze on the other side, the Chicago Bears. I think this point in year 2, he's proving, at least right now, that he's the best of the 3 receivers to come out, second best, I should say. You know, it's Malik Neighbors. I think Rome Odunze has jumped Marvin Harrison Jr., at least for now. You know, their careers are very, very young. I think what does the Bears in here is that they're going to have an issue containing Jaden Daniels. I think that if you take away his reads, they're going to have to spy him. And I don't necessarily think the Bears have the personnel in this particular matchup to do that. I think they'll keep it close, however. Give me the Washington Commanders 27. Give me the Chicago Bears 20. I think it'll be close. but I'm going with the home team here. Monday Night Football's got two games. We've got the Buffalo Bills at 4-1 traveling to Atlanta to take on the 2-2 Falcons. The Bills are looking to bounce back after losing an in-division game to the New England Patriots, a team that, in my opinion, is a lot better than people realize. You know, some people might look at it as a bad loss for the Bills, but Mike Vrabel definitely changing the culture out in New England. I like um I like what I saw, and instant overreactions. People will say things like, oh, the Patriots got exposed, and I think that's irresponsible. Rather, the Bills got exposed. I think that's irresponsible. There's a lot of familiarity when these teams play each other two times a year, every single year, and I personally believe that the Buffalo Bills are going to be just fine. I think it's a divisional game. They got beat, and it's good for the division because prior to the Bills being the team of this division, it was obviously Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's Patriots. So it's good that you got some serious competition now in this division. It's a two-team race because the Jets are under complete construction, and the Miami Dolphins look like they might have no other choice but to completely blow it up. As the game goes, for the Atlanta Falcons to score the upset, you gotta, number one, try to the best of your ability to keep the Bills' offense off the field. Atlanta does have the personnel to potentially make that happen. You gotta really ride the combo of Bijan Robinson, and when he gets spelled, of course, Tyler Algier. You gotta hope that you can win your one-on-ones in coverage, that you could attack Buffalo's secondary. Buffalo is a good defense, but I don't consider them a great one. On the flip side, James Cook coming off his worst game of the season, I expect him to be highly motivated and to take care of business. I think that he's going to at least hit pay dirt once. I would not be the least bit surprised if Josh Allen also has a rushing touchdown. Um, I kind of got the vibe in this game that you're going to see a vulture touchdown taken away from James Cook, either by Josh Allen or one of the backup running backs that Buffalo has. Give me the Buffalo Bills for the W here. I'm going 34-20. I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to compete, but I do not believe that Michael Penix and co. are getting it done right now. And, as far as the South goes, this is still Tampa's division. You know, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, during the end of the Tom Brady era, and now it's the Baker Mayfield era, have just been the best team and the class of this division. And I do consider Tampa a top five NFC team this year. Coming in, I felt like their destiny would be to crash out in round two, but a lot of parity in general in the NFL. So we'll see how it plays out. But give me the Bills by two scores, 34-20 for the road dub, and getting back on track. We're going to back it up to Sunday Night Football now. Detroit Lions at 4-1 taking on the three-time consecutive AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs at 2-3. Um, Detroit made a big statement a couple of years ago, opening up the season in Arrowhead and beating the Chiefs. I personally believe that this is the kind of game that really could go either way. Now, you guys may remember a game that happened some time back when Jared Goff was still the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. It was a shootout, and if my memory serves me right, the game was played in Mexico. I have a funny feeling that this might be the kind of game where you're seeing both quarterbacks really putting up some numbers. I mean, Jared Goff doesn't have to play those kind of games usually because of what his running game offers. But I have a feeling that at least early on, the Chiefs are going to really hone in on Jahmyr Gibbs. Of course, David Montgomery is an excellent backup piece as both of them really do some damage in the red zone. Jahmyr Gibbs is the better back of the two, the more versatile back. I believe you might get a repeat of what we saw back. I believe the year was 2019 when he was still with the Rams. High scoring affair here. I think this is a get right game for Travis Kelsey, as I do believe that the Lions definitely have some warts in that secondary and in that mid tier of the defense. I love what they do on offense, but I am still not convinced that their defense is completely there yet. And, this is a team that, although they're off to a nice start after getting slapped around week one by Green Bay, um, this is a team that is still trying to find themselves. Was when you lose important coordinators, it makes things very difficult. As the Chiefs go, it's really hard for me to envision, even though I do know that the Chiefs are dealing with some hardships, the Chiefs starting off 2-4. With the recent struggles of the LA Chargers, the Chiefs are still very much in this division. The Raiders are nowhere where I thought they would be. I'm definitely disappointed for them. But high scoring affair. Give me the Chiefs 37. Give me the Detroit Lions 34. I think this is going to be a fun one. Could be potentially the best game that we're going to watch this week. I just don't see the Chiefs going 2-4. Green Bay Packers 2-1-1 coming off the bye week at the Cincinnati Bengals at 2-3. Bengals get an upgrade in the quarterback room as they're not going to have Joe Burrow back probably until December. And that, of course, is going to only be predicated on if they're even in the race and if they even feel the need for Burrow to play this year at that juncture. It really depends on how they do in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Um, the Bengals defense, no secret, they're pretty damn bad. We saw the Detroit Lions do pretty much whatever they wanted to do a week ago, and we've seen most offenses have their way with the Bengals. What compounded the problem is that the quarterback play of Jake Browning was just god awful. But as I alluded to, they get an upgrade. That upgrade is Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has had some success as recently as a couple of years ago, helping take the Browns on a surprise playoff run. Um, Flacco still has some juice, and at minimum, he gives the Bengals credibility on offense. Problem is, I do not think that they're going to be able to stop the Packer run game or the litany of receivers. The Packers don't really have the quintessential number one receiver, but Jordan Love does a great job of getting everyone involved. In order for the Bengals to win this game, they're going to have to outscore the Packers. And as much as I respect the former Super Bowl MVP Joe Flacco, I just don't see that happening. I'm going to put the same score as I did for the Buffalo game. Give me actually I'll do a little better. I'll give the Bengals 24. Give me the Green Bay Packers 34. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals 24. I think the Bengals at least show a little life here. And in that division, with the situation that's going on in Baltimore, with the injury to Lamar Jackson and such, I actually do believe that this is a situation where the Bengals could potentially find themselves still hanging around, but they got to start putting together some W's. It ain't going to be this week. Green Bay had that 40-40 tie with Dallas in prime time a couple of weeks back. Um, and a lot of people were getting on Green Bay about their defense because their defense looked so very impressive the first couple of weeks against the Commanders. Week 2, week 1, they did a great job of shutting down a potent Lions offense. But I think people are overlooking the fact that Dallas is really playing offense right now, and Dak Prescott's putting up MVP numbers. So I guess the message I'm trying to send is I think the Green Bay Packers are going to be just fine. I think things get blown out of proportion in the early part of the season. They had that embarrassing loss to the Cleveland Browns, 13-10. And then when you tie Dallas, a game that I think a lot of people thought Green Bay was going to smoke them out, it's unfortunate. But, Dallas is in their case, starting to get healthy in that secondary. And by no means do I think Dallas is an elite defense, but they're getting some competency back there, and that's going to help them. And then when you consider Dak Prescott having that MVP type season, And Javonte Williams really having the best year of his career as he is finally healthy. He never really had those kind of opportunities in Denver because of the constant injuries. But yeah, Packers for the W here. And the Green Bay Packers were my Super Bowl pick for the NFC going in. So I still have high aspirations of the Packers. The acquisition of Micah Parsons kind of drove that over with me because initially I had the Packers potentially being just on the cusp of the playoffs, maybe as a lower seeded team. And, of course, the Detroit Lions are going to have something to say about that, as will the Minnesota Vikings. But I do have a high regard for what the Green Bay Packers are capable of doing this year and what their ceiling could be. The LA Chargers are heading to South Florida to take on the Miami Dolphins. 3-2 are the Chargers, 1-4 are the Dolphins. My question to you, the viewers: how much longer does Mike McDaniel really have? It just seems that things have been really stale and stagnant in terms of the direction of this Miami Dolphins team because they're in a weird place. You get a guy like Tyreek Hill, big money contract. But truthfully, Mike McDaniel's peak or his best kind of mirrors the guy that he replaced, who was Brian Flores. And by the way, Brian Flores, in my opinion, should be a candidate for a head coaching job in the near future, as he has done some seriously great things with the Minnesota Vikings defense. But as this game goes, for fantasy purposes, if you own Devin Achan, definitely play him. Regardless of how this game plays out, I think Achan most definitely going to have a big game. As the Chargers go, definitely something to prove after the nice 3-0 start, two consecutive losses to the NFC East. They lost a physical game, and my co-host Mike Zappi flat out said, "This is a team that was playing bully ball for the predominantly the first month of the season, but honestly, this is a get right game for the Chargers. They're trying to get some respect back after being embarrassed to a level the last 2 weeks by the NFC East. Give me the Los Angeles Chargers in a convincing win here. Chargers are putting up 30. Give me 30-17. I think the Dolphins get a late touchdown just to kind of save a little face, but definitely Chargers for the victory. Now, I spoke about this on this morning show, but unfortunately, I had lost my audio earlier. The Seattle Mariners are heading to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays as they qualify for the American League Championship Series, their first one since 2001. And I got to say, one of the more entertaining baseball games in quite some time. This thing went 15 innings. Tarek Skubal has absolutely nothing to be ashamed of as he pitched his heart out, striking out 13 Mariners. George Kirby did a pretty good job as well. Ultimately, Polanco gets the walk-off hit late. The Tigers are going to have a long off season because they had so many opportunities to win this game, and they just unfortunately did not. Lot of buzz and excitement, and with good reason. Cal Raleigh, 60 home runs this year, MVP candidate. I don't think he should win over Judge, but we'll find out what the voters think. I think this is a series where Julio Rodriguez could get right. Most definitely. Eugenio Suarez, a huge pickup, deadline deal that they acquired from the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this Mariner team definitely has the potential to bust out. But I still don't think that they have the offense or the fluidity in that lineup that the Toronto Blue Jays do. I will give the Mariners the edge on rotation versus rotation. But I personally believe that the Blue Jays just have too much offense. And we'll see if Bo Bichette is trending towards getting healthier. Of course, he was not activated for the Yankee series. I'm taking the Toronto Blue Jays 4-2. And, the Mariners are definitely going to compete, and these games are going to be good. But I like the Blue Jays Last I checked, prior to going live here, the Cubs had something cooking in the top of the sixth. They are currently down 2-1 in a winner-take-all game five. Um, I did pick the Cubs to win this game 5-4, so I'm actually going to get in and see how the rest of this plays out. Before I get out of here, I do want to speak on something that, as a Giant fan, is just quite satisfying. The Saquon Barkley rollout on Amazon Prime. Guys, I really would like to hear what you guys all think about this. Of course, Saquon Barkley infamously left the New York Giants, goes on to Philadelphia, wins the Super Bowl. But, those close to Saquon, I think it's pretty obvious that this was intended to come out after winning in East Rutherford, New Jersey, and I in a game that I think they thought was going to be just kind of a coronation, an easy deal for 3 hours. But the New York Giants kind of handed them a shitburger. 34-17 win for the Giants, which is just so powerful on so many levels. That's how this NFL week started off. And, on a night that I really think was supposed to be about Saquon, ultimately it's about Cam Scatabo, rookie out of Arizona State. 3 rushing touchdowns. Jackson Dart, just a phenomenal performance in his own right. Giants, I mentioned it on the previous show before it cut out, under investigation with the NFL for the concussion protocol. So I'm hoping that nothing huge comes of that. But I must admit, just a feel good win. And it kind of made watching the Saquon thing tolerable. I don't really have any bad feelings for Saquon, the person. Everybody's got to make the decisions that they think are best for their family. But, you know, kind of from looking at it from a behind the scenes aspect, I understand both sides. I understand Saquon's frustration, but I also understand Joe Shane's perspective, John Mara's perspective. By paying Saquon what he wanted, or if they would have given him the guarantees the way that the Philadelphia Eagles put it together, I think it would have prevented the Giants from being on the trajectory that they are right now. The New York Giants really improved this roster over the course of the last couple of years, but when it doesn't give you immediate dividends, you're going to be under a lot of scrutiny, especially when it's the New York media market and you haven't won a Super Bowl since 2011 season, 2012 calendar year. But NFC East wide open right now. It's a good watch. Definitely check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. But yeah, my apologies, as I already said, for that little blip with the audio earlier today. But what I'm going to be doing, uh, you know, moving forward, we're going to be splitting up these weekly previews like I did this week into 2 separate shows. I think it's a good way to make sure that we are doing our due diligence to really analyze every game and not kind of rush it out, because there is no rush. We love talking about football. Definitely wanted to drop in my MLB banter, and there'll be more of that on the horizon. Of course, NBA just around the corner. Shouts out to my New York Rangers also, by the way, picking up the 6-1 victory in Pittsburgh as after a very flat game against these same Penguins. The Rangers now up their record to 2-1 in the early NHL season. Announcements to come for my next show. Have a great night, everyone.